Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making an old-fashioned oatmeal cake. Now this is a really simple, basic sheet cake that you can make with stuff you probably have in your pantry. No special ingredients, and there's a whole lot of things that you can add into it to make it even better, but we're going to go over the basic ingredients and then talk about some substitutes. I have a cup and a half of milk here that I have heated, and I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to add a cup of old-fashioned rolled oats to that. And we're going to let that sit and kind of soak and soften up our oats while we're mixing up the rest of our cake. You want to do this step first. When you're making this cake, do this while you're gathering up all the other ingredients, because putting those oats in that hot milk is going to soften them up before we add them to our cake batter. Now for our cake batter, we also have a cup of brown sugar and a cup of regular white sugar. We have a cup and a third to a cup and a half of flour. We've talked about measuring flour, and unless you weigh it, you're not going to get it exact. I have a kind of heaping teaspoon of baking soda, about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, half teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, a stick of butter, which is a half a cup, and I'm going to add a teaspoon or 2 of vanilla to it. And then we're going to make a simple topping to go on it. We're going to make our topping with a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of pecans, which you can put in or leave out, a stick of butter, and a little bit of milk. You can add different stuff in the topping too, and like I said, we're going to go over all that. So we're going to start mixing our cake. Of course, we've already got our oats soaking in our milk here to soften them up. We're going to put our butter in and cream our butter and our sugar together. Just go ahead and add both sugars into the butter. Now you can use sugar substitute in this if you want to. I would probably add in a little bit of molasses maybe if I was going to do a sugar substitute, because this is going to give the cake a really good texture, the brown sugar. It's going to change the texture. And if you don't want to use sugar, just put in a tablespoon or 2 of molasses with your sugar substitute. If you don't want to do butter, you can certainly do a vegetable alternative like vegetable shortening or one of the plant-based butter alternatives. They'll work. Just whatever. You want that half a cup of fat. Once you get your butter and your sugar creamed together, which is definitely easier in a stand mixer than it is with a hand mixer, go ahead and add in your eggs and your vanilla. And I'm using my Vanilla Feeds Tomorrow vanilla, which is back in stock. If you need to order you some, I'll put a link to that. All of the proceeds from this go to buy meals for people who need help, and then these times everybody needs help. But each bottle of vanilla buys, I forgot how many, 42 meals. So if you want to do something, maybe you need vanilla and you want to help out too, you can order your vanilla from Vanilla Feeds Tomorrow. And like I said, I'll put that link in the description box. Okay, and now we're going to beat this together a little bit, mix it up. Now if you're using your stand mixer, kind of be careful because you don't want to over mix this cake. And I'm going to go ahead and add my cinnamon and my baking soda and my salt into my flour, and then I'm going to add about half of this in here and give it a little mix. Now let's stir our oats up, and we're going to add whatever is in this pot. You don't want to drain any of your milk off or anything like that. But we're going to add this into our batter, and then we're going to add in the rest of our flour. Now let's add in our oats and our milk. And I'm actually going to add this in while I've got my mixer running on low here. And now just add in the rest of your flour. scrape the sides of your bowl at least one time, and I'll go ahead and scrape my pan out here too. Okay, once you're sure you've got everything out of the bottom of your bowl and off of the sides kinda, all we're gonna do is dump this in a sheet pan. And you need a 9 by 13 pan for this, and any 9 by 13 pan will work. Kind of pick your pan based on what you're gonna use this cake for. I mean, if you want it for a nice dinner at home, put it in a pretty casserole dish like this one. And this and these towels were actually Christmas gifts. And ladies, y'all did great. You could not have done better if you had gone shopping together. This is kind of a God thing when people in different states, different parts of the country don't even know each other. They get things that they match. So thank you, ladies. This matches perfectly. But if you're going to be doing this for at home, maybe a nice Sunday dinner, put it in a pretty dish. And all you got to do is spray it a little, wipe a little oil in it, put a little butter in it. You want to do something on it. If you want to, in your batter, you can add some raisins, some dried cranberries, or even some other kind of dried fruit. About half a cup to a cup, just kind of depends on your taste. But just pour your batter in your pan, and then you're going to put this in a preheated 350 degree oven, and you're going to heat it or cook it for 35-40 minutes, maybe, depending on your oven. You know, check it with a toothpick or do a little bounce test on it or something. Make sure it's done. But it'll take it between 35 and 40 minutes. So let's put this in the oven. Now, in 35 to 40 minutes in a preheated oven, preheated 350 degree oven, your cake is going to look like this. It's going to have a really nice dark brown color. Now, you don't need to top it at all. If you are trying to cut back on sugar, you don't have to top it. And I forgot to tell you, in the cake, you can use plant-based milk. You can even use water if you want to cut the calories. It will work just fine with water. You can use oat milk or almond milk or whatever. And like I said, you can even use water. But make sure that your cake kind of bounces back a little bit. You know, make sure it's done. You don't want it falling in the middle. And now we're going to make our topping. Over medium heat, we're going to combine our butter and our brown sugar and melt that together. And then we're going to add in our half cup of chopped nuts, and you can use any nut in this. You could even put some raisins or cranberries in the topping. You can also put some coconut in it. And this one, the cake, actually has raisins in it. So I'm going to do the pecans on the top. The one that we just made that I put in my really pretty casserole dish, I'm going to add also a cup of coconut to the topping on that one. So it'll be a totally different cake just with some add-ins, you know. But you could even top this with buttercream or cream cheese topping if you wanted to. Just about anything will work on this cake because it's a basic cake. A cream cheese on top of it would be really good, the cream cheese frosting, and kind of let it melt in there a little bit. Just kind of whatever you want to do. You can change it so many ways. This little brown sugar, it's more, I guess it's kind of like a glaze almost that we're making here. But this is something that we haven't done before, and this is something, you know, that my granny used and my Aunt Dot used. And I think I might put a little bit of vanilla in this too. I mean, you know, vanilla makes everything better. And, you know, in times like these, having these simple recipes that we can make, you can get a lot of slices out of a sheet cake, a 9 by 13 sheet cake, which is what this is. You can get way more servings out of this than you do a box of snack cakes that you're going to pay $5 for. I mean, you might get maybe 6 snack cakes now for $5. You can make this cake for less than $5, and you can get 15-20 slices out of it if you cut it right. If you're going to take it to a potluck at church or somewhere else, these cake pans here are great, and they come with a lid on them, and I think I paid like $9 for these around Christmas time. So you can get a cake pan with a lid for $9, and anytime you've got a potluck to go to, you can take a dessert for $5. And you know, that's incredible this day and time to be able to do anything for $5. But all we want to do with our topping here is get it melted. And if you want to add the coconut in, or maybe some raisins or cranberries or something, if you did something like that in your cake and you want to put it in your topping, you would add it after you get your butter and your brown sugar good and melted. All right, that looks pretty good there. We're not going to cook it a ton, but we want to get that brown sugar hot enough that when we give it a little stir, we can kind of combine the butter and the brown sugar so that it's not separated. We want it combined. Just takes a little bit of stirring, and be careful, don't slop it all over you like I just did. And I am going to add me just a touch of vanilla to this. I'm not even going to measure it. If you want to do it, you know, about a teaspoon. And I'm going to add my nuts, add my milk, and I've just got about a tablespoon here. You just need a tiny bit. And you want to put this on the cake while it's still hot. And you can take a fork and poke some holes in it too if you really want it to soak down in there. But I think I want mine kind of on top, because an oatmeal cake is, like this one has the raisins in it, so it's going to be moist anyway. If you didn't put the raisins in it, you might definitely want to take your fork and do some holes and let this soak down in the cake. But then we're just going to pour it over top of our warm cake and spread it out. And you want to let this sit at least 15 minutes before you cut it. You can serve it warm or cold. If you're going to make it and you're not going to eat it all in one day, which, you know, if you were making it just for Sunday dinner, it probably wouldn't all get ate. You do want to store it in an airtight container, and it will keep on the countertop or in the refrigerator. Keep longer, of course, in the refrigerator. Granny always left cakes like this sitting out on the countertop. Of course, they didn't usually last more than a day or two. There's so many of us. And if they made it to the next day, it was a miracle. But that's all there is to it. And the glaze, frosting, whatever you want to call it, that we made is really pretty. And if you add the coconut into it, or you can even save the coconut, not stir it up in this, and sprinkle it on the top if you wanted to. Just kind of up to you. Different things you can do with it. Said plant-based stuff is fine. Even water in the cake is fine, and water in the glaze would work, or just leave it totally out of the glaze because we only put a tablespoon in there. And add dried fruit to it. Kind of anything that you would put in oatmeal, you can put in this cake. I want to leave y'all with Philippians 4:6, because times are so tough and it's so easy to worry instead of to trust God. It says, "Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God." Don't worry about it. Pray about it. Thank God for all He's done for you, because even in tough times, we still have it pretty good, and we have plenty of stuff to be thankful for. If you haven't already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. And until next time, remember to put God first.